Have a great matchup in the West as the San Francisco 49ers are taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. This is your Week 1 2025 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe button if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start with the home team, the Seahawks. So many different names on this roster for this upcoming year compared to last season. You no longer have Geno Smith. You traded him to the Raiders. DK Metcalf is no longer with this roster either. You traded him to the Steelers for a second-round pick, and you cut veteran wide receiver Tyler Lockett. But that doesn't mean that the Seahawks just have a bunch of bad players now. I like all the moves that they made in the offseason. You bring in Sam Darnold, who just came off a career year with the Minnesota Vikings. A brand new offensive coordinator in Clint Kubiak. And let's start here with the Seahawks, with the offensive play calling. Last year with Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Tyler Lockett, they had a very good pass attack. It was very pass heavy. That did not work out into their favor. When you go against a team like the San Francisco 49ers, the same against the Arizona Cardinals and the Rams, every single team in this division, you have to have a balanced attack. And that is something that Ryan Grubb cannot adjust to last year. And Mike Macdonald brought him over from the college level. In college, you could pass the football at a high clip. You do that in the NFL, it's a good chance that you're going to have a bunch of turnovers. And that is what happened last year because the offensive line protection wasn't good enough and Geno Smith had a lot of bad moments. Clint Kubiak, on the other hand, he has NFL experience. And this runs through his blood because of Gary Kubiak, who was a very good coach for many years in the NFL. The one thing that Clint Kubiak did a phenomenal job with last year with New Orleans, even though they were dealing with a bunch of injuries to the quarterback position, offensive line, and the wide receiving room, he would run a balanced attack with Alvin Kamara, with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and they'll take those deep shots down the field. Sam Darnold in this matchup against the 49ers, get the football out quick. I understand he no longer has Justin Jefferson. He no longer has Jordan Addison. That's fine. You have very good playmakers on this team as well, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, and a wildly good veteran in Cooper Kupp. He's not the same wide receiver that he once was 2-3 years ago because of injuries, but you put him in one-on-one situations, he's still one of the best route runners in the game. But you have to get the football out as quick as possible in certain situations because of Nick Bosa, because of their rookie in Mikael Williams, and Robert Saleh calling defensive plays. Sam Darnold is not going to have the luxury to just sit back the entire game and process and scan around. And that is what hurt him last year against the Los Angeles Rams in that playoff game and also in the regular season. When Sam Darnold's trying to overcompensate for bad offensive line protection or for a lack of a run game, that is when you see Sam Darnold become turnover prone. Keep the turnovers at a minimum. If he has 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles, that works out into his favor. I'm not saying just go out there and play conservative, play not to lose. Because 9 times out of 10, when you play that way, you're going to lose. Take those deep shots down the field, but take care of the football. You can't have dumb fumbles in the pocket. But those were just only a couple games last year with Sam Darnold. For majority of last season, he did such a good job of avoiding pressure, stepping up inside the pocket, dealing with traffic around him, having a bunch of sidearm throws. You can have those moments in this matchup, but understand this. If you are Sam Darnold, you have help. Dump the football down to Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's amazing with his run after the catch. Throw the football down the middle of the field to Cooper Kupp. Trust him in one-on-one situations because he has such a big body. And build that chemistry with Torrey Horton, who has been a phenomenal wide receiver in training camp and the same in the preseason. He's a rookie. He plays so well, they just went out and they just cut Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And Clint Kubiak, he loved him for the last 5 games of last season. But that is how impressive Torrey Horton has been. And be on lookout for him in the red zone situation in this matchup. Well, look at the line of scrimmage with Seattle. Charles Cross, he's questionable for this matchup, but he's on pace to play in this game. That's phenomenal. Abraham Lucas, he's fully healthy. And he selected Gray Zabel in the first round. Those are 3 very good offensive linemen. The offensive line has been a major issue with Seattle, even dating back to their time with Russell Wilson. And part of that was because Russell Wilson will hold on to the football for a very long time, which goes back to my argument. Get the football out quick. Don't just stay around and just wait for guys to get open. If they're not open and you feel pressure coming around you, throw the football away. Live to see another down. Live to see another play. But with better offensive line protection up front in the pass game, it also opens up that opportunity in the run game. You have 2 very good running backs. Kenneth Walker III is one of the most explosive running backs in football. Get him the football in space, a bunch of screens as a wide receiver coming out of the backfield. He did that last year against the Denver Broncos. But those outside zone plays, give him the football because of the speed that he has. He can beat you from sideline to sideline. Zach Charbonnet, when it's third and short, give him the football because he has more power to his game. And he's more so of a power back than Kenneth Walker III. And I'm not saying that Kenneth Walker III can't move the pile. He can. This is the problem with Kenneth. As the game goes on, he may lose some of that speed if you give him the football 20, 25 times in a matchup. Just have a balanced attack in the backfield because Zach Charbonnet is so good. Just give him the opportunities. But when I look at the base offense right here, Klint Kubiak, he has the personnel to put a lot of pressure on the 49ers. I'll test out those linebackers other than Fred Warner underneath because if you test out Fred Warner, he's going to give you a lot of problems. He's the best linebacker in football, in my opinion, in terms of pass coverage. He's phenomenal. And you can test out those safeties with the 49ers, but it starts having a balanced attack, running the football, getting the football out as quick as possible, and winning those one-on-one opportunities on the outside with Cooper Kupp, and the same with Jackson Smith-Njigba. And now you have more flexibility at the wide receiving end of things. Cooper Kupp can play inside the slot. He can play on the outside. Jackson Smith-Njigba is primarily a slot wide receiver, but don't get it twisted. He can make some noise on the outside as well. It's a versatile offense, and I trust that Klint Kubiak can find a lot of ways to put pressure on Robert Saleh and this defense with the 49ers. And we all know this about Seattle. It is going to be rocking in this stadium. Go back and look at what happened in the first preseason game with the Seahawks and the Raiders. They treated that game like it was a playoff game. And that was just a preseason game with the Seattle fans. So you know they're going to show up, especially for this brand new team, it seems like, with so many different names. But on the offensive end, you should be fine with Sam. Limit the turnovers, get the football out quick, and win those one-on-one opportunities on the outside. And test out those linebackers with the 49ers again. As far as the defense here with Seattle, this is when I started to rub my hands together. The defense last year, it was coming together, man. This is why you moved on from Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll was a phenomenal head coach with Seattle. 2 Super Bowl appearances, a Super Bowl win. I'll never forget that. But at the same time, he had struggles on the back half of his career with Seattle going against coaches like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan in terms of stopping the run. That was not the case last year, especially when they made that trade to bring in Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones is a phenomenal linebacker based off of last season. He was amazing against the run. He was amazing in pass coverage. Look at his games against the Arizona Cardinals. Very good player. Look at Leonard Williams, was a top defensive player last year. You need to put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy on the interior of this offensive line. Go back and look at Brock Purdy. Some of his worst games. A lot of it came because of inside pressure by Chris Jones in Kansas City, with the Detroit Lions having a lot of inside pressure off of blitzes. Now, maybe Kyle Shanahan goes out there. He runs a different system. We'll see. But put that inside pressure on Brock Purdy and press up these wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. The 49ers, they're thin at wide receiver. No Brandon Ayuk. He's out for this matchup, dealing with a knee injury that he suffered last year against Kansas City. Demarcus Robinson, very good wide receiver that you're bringing over from the Los Angeles Rams in free agency. He's suspended for the first 3 games. So your top targets are George Kittle and your second-year wide receiver who missed a lot of time last year, and Ricky Pearsall. Force players besides Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle to beat you over the top. But it starts with shutting down Christian McCaffrey and the same with Brock Purdy. That entire backfield can give you problems. And so many coaches, they go out there, they just forget about Brock Purdy. They just try to solely stop the run. That's been the game plan with many coaches in the past. And when you look at that end result, it's not pretty. Brock Purdy will go out there and have 300 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You still have to take account for him. But not too many teams are built like the Seahawks. That's why you go out in free agency and you bring in someone like DeMarcus Lawrence. What is he known for doing? Going out there, stealing the edge, stopping those outside zone plays, stopping that wide zone system. He was the one consistent defensive lineman with the Dallas Cowboys that could stop the run. And he missed majority of last season dealing with an injury. But when he's fully healthy, he's one of the best players at his position in terms of stealing the edge, stopping the run, and putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Byron Murphy missed time last year with a hamstring injury. When he was on the field with Leonard Williams, they only allowed 2.8 yards a carry. That's insane. And Byron Murphy can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. That's why you drafted him in the first round. Derek Hall, be on lookout for him on 3rd down. You now switch things around to where Derek Hall, he isn't that strong against the run. He's had some good plays against the run in the past. Don't get me wrong. You just want DeMarcus Lawrence out there first and second down. If it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, you pin your ears back. You bring on Derek Hall, who has been a sack monster with Seattle, and you bring in Uchenna Nwosu and Boye Mafe. They have so many different players up front that can give you so many different looks in terms of stopping the run, heavy packages if it's 3rd and short, and just going out there and rushing the passer. This is one of those front sevens. They're so versatile. They're going to give Brock Purdy and the 49ers a lot of problems in this matchup, even if you try to run a bunch of misdirection, because they're so athletic at the linebacking end as well, because of the players that they've added in. Far as the secondary, Devin Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen. Very good cornerback duo. Devin Witherspoon can guard tight ends in space. You can blitz him off the edge. He can guard wide receivers on the outside. He's the most complete player to have in your secondary. And do not get things twisted with Coach McDonald. He was sending a hot blitz off the edge with Devin Witherspoon. But I think you go back to that game plan, like I said a couple minutes ago. Press up these wide receivers. Force them to beat you over the top and take away those in-breaking plays. It's so many times where Kyle Shanahan calls so many in routes, so many crosses across the middle of the field. You have these cornerbacks running with them, and they have that athleticism. It's going to make life very hard on the 49ers if you take that away. And as far as the safeties, Julian Love is a very good playmaking safety, the same with Kobe Bryant, and you have Nick that you drafted this year in the NFL draft. It's a very good situation for the Seahawks here, and I trust they're going to give the 49ers a lot of problems. Don't sleep on the Seahawks this year. Now let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers. Last year, they dealt with so many injuries at the wide receiving position, so many injuries in the running back room. And let's start with the running back room here. Christian McCaffrey, he's fully healthy. He missed pretty much all last season. He did play a couple of games. Achilles tendonitis early on in the year. Wasn't able to participate in training camp. Towards PCL against the Buffalo Bills. But we all know this about Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey. When McCaffrey is fully healthy, like I mentioned before in many videos, he's not just one of the best running backs in football. He's one of the best players in the NFL. Get him going. And it should help out your red zone offense. That is something that held the 49ers back last year. When McCaffrey was missing time, they just had to walk away with 3. And their kicker did not help them out. It was a lot of missed field goals last year. So the special team is going to play a huge factor into this matchup. If you have to take 3, the kicker has to do a better job in terms of converting those field goals over into actual points instead of just being attempts. But red zone offense is going to be a key here, and using Christian McCaffrey early on. Now in tight situations to where it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, even 3rd and 3, you made a trade to bring in Brian Robinson Jr. Isaac Guerendo has had some good moments in the past. But when you bring in someone like B-Rob, he's a physical running back coming over from the Washington Commanders, especially in the red zone. So if it is 3rd and goal, Christian McCaffrey's going to keep the linebackers honest because he can do so many things for you in the pass game. But if you just don't give a damn about the Seahawks loading up their line, run the football at the middle with Brian Robinson Jr. because of the power that he has behind his punch. But Christian McCaffrey is going to be a huge player in this matchup, especially against linebackers, and find those one-on-one opportunities on the outside. Brock Purdy here. I have Brock Purdy being one of the best quarterbacks in the game. You guys may disagree with that, but Brock Purdy has been phenomenal. His rookie season, NFC Championship game, his second year, they went to the Super Bowl. Last year, the turnovers were a bit high, but once again, the offensive line wasn't 100%. The weapons around him weren't the best either. In a comfortable system with Kyle Shanahan and all these players fully healthy, they've produced some of the best offenses over the last 2 to 3 years with Brock Purdy being their starting quarterback. I would test out the Seattle Seahawks up the seams with Ricky Pearsall, who had some big-time moments last year, and with Jauan Jennings. Jauan Jennings has been a very good and consistent wide receiver with San Francisco. He's questionable for this matchup, but he's on pace to play in this game. Outside those wide receivers, I am a bit concerned. Like I mentioned before, you bring in someone like Russell Gage. Russell Gage is dealing with a knee injury right now. I don't trust that Russell Gage is going to be that consistent number 3 wide receiver. So you're going to be running a lot of packages through your run game with Christian McCaffrey. A lot of plays with George Kittle, who was one of the best tight ends last year in the NFL. Just one of the best receiving tight ends, period, since he's been drafted. But you have him as a safety blanket. But my biggest question for the 49ers is this. Can Ricky Pearsall live up to that first-round hype a year ago? He played so well in those last 3 games. Can he carry that over? And can he look like that number 1 wide receiver? Them not having Brandon Ayuk, that is really going to hurt them. because they don't have the deep threat right now. So a lot of those plays are going to come off the back of Brock Purdy, the same with George Kittle and with Christian McCaffrey. But if it is a quarterback that can go out there and he can get the most out of his players, it would be Brock Purdy. And they also do not have Deebo Samuel. They traded him to the Washington Commanders. Be on lookout for that and see if these wide receivers can make a lot of plays in space, because Deebo Samuel was regressing. But at the same time, Deebo Samuel broke a lot of tackles in space. He'll get you an extra 4 to 5 yards. And that would definitely help out the 49ers. It's just the way that you game plan against the 49ers in the past, with the threat of having Brandon Ayuk on the outside, because it's a deep threat. He's elite, and he's one of the best route runners in the game. We'll see if the 49ers can win those one-on-one opportunities on the outside. But I know this for a fact. George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, they're going to get a lot of looks in this matchup. As far as the offensive line protection, as long as you have Trent Williams, you're going to be fine. Dominic Puny was a very good guard last year at the right guard position. Colton, he's been up and down in his career. He needs to be consistent. This is the one thing that does bother me about the 49ers. Trent's going to hold his side of the offensive line down. Will the interior of this offensive line be consistent enough to let Brock Purdy step up inside the pocket and get an extra zip on the football? But it's a good matchup for the 49ers on the offensive end, and the same with the Seahawks on the defensive end, just having Mike Macdonald go against Kyle Shanahan. Now, as far as the defense here with the 49ers, their defense has taken a major step back since DeMeco Ryans left to become the head coach with the Houston Texans. You ran into a bunch of defensive coordinators that did not fit what Kyle Shanahan wanted. Steve Wilks, they let him go after they lost the Super Bowl against Kansas City. He was a better defensive play caller than Coach Sorensen last year. You now bring back Robert Saleh. The last time that we saw Robert Saleh be a defensive coordinator with the 49ers, they had one of the best defenses that we have seen over the last 10 years in the NFL. He's going to bring that energy. You can see it in the preseason. And it starts up front with pressure on Sam Darnold. You drafted Mikael Williams in the first round for a reason. You have Nick Bosa. More times than not, whether the name is Leonard Floyd, and the same with Chase Young, they benefit a lot because of the attention that Nick Bosa gets. But Nick Bosa also has to be more consistent. A lot of that isn't Nick Bosa's fault. The coaches that you've had in the past, Steve Wilks, more so of a secondary coach. And the same with Nick Sorensen. DeMeco Ryans, Robert Saleh, they play through their front seven, and they play because of pressure. Different twists and different stunts up front. Confuse Sam Darnold at the line of scrimmage and make Sam Darnold go out there and hold on to the football for a very long time. You can press up these wide receivers. I think that you can get away with that. We've seen the 49ers do this before in the past with Robert Saleh. The one question that I have is Renardo Green ready for this on a consistent basis, and the same with Lenoir. Now, Lenoir, very good cornerback, and the same with Renardo Green. But Charvarius Ward, I know that he missed a lot of time last season. He's been that best man-to-man corner. Can these cornerbacks on the back end hold up long enough against Jackson Smith-Njigba, and the same against Cooper Kupp? And I can't stress this enough. It is so hard to cover a slot wide receiver. You're not going to press up a slot wide receiver. You may just put roll coverage over there and put them in double team situations. And even then, they have so much space. But this is the one thing with Robert Saleh. I don't know how he did it. But his last year with the 49ers, he did a phenomenal job against slot wide receivers. Go out there and replicate that game. I know that was many years ago, but you can still replicate that game plan. The safeties here with the 49ers, Jair Brown, very good, strong safety. But that pressure up front with Mikael Williams, Nick Bosa, and the same with Fred Warner, that should give the Seahawks a lot of problems up front. You're just going against a healthier team in Seattle, but no excuses with the 49ers because they have won games in the past dealing with a lot of injuries. And be on lookout for Upton Stout inside the nickel cornerback position. This is my matchup of the week. These are two teams that are strong coming in with two new coaches. You could say Robert Saleh is a new coach because he's a former head coach with the New York Jets, but he has familiarity with Kyle Shanahan because he's a former defensive coordinator with this organization. With the Seahawks here, it's so many different changing parts with Sam Darnold, with the wide receivers and a brand new offensive coordinator. Will it translate over to week one? And usually it takes time in the NFL for all those players to gel together. But I am concerned about the injuries with the 49ers on the offensive end at the wide receiving position. But I have to pick a winner. It's a prediction video. I have the Seahawks winning this game-winning field goal, 23-20, but it can go either way. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game? The 49ers or the Seahawks? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.